The Danganronpa series has been having a huge resurgence in popularity since the announcement of 2x2. The concept of the Goodbye Despair cast and a whole new set of cases to solve has done a great job of dragging many people, such as myself, back into the hell that is the Danganronpa fandom. I'm mostly kidding. While it's still far from perfect, the Dangan fandom is nowhere near as bad as it once was. Which, if you were there, then you fucking know. Shit was insane back in the day. It's almost unbelievable how much happened in a relatively short time span. The 2020 Danganronpa Phase is a well-known phenomenon among internet users and psychiatrists alike. While the world was on lockdown, a whole generation of kids who grew up with too much internet access now had too much time to access that internet. I feel like this is genuinely a huge defining moment for so many people's lives. Well, I mean, outside of human history unfolding before our very eyes, that year spent online did a whole lot to shape us into the people that we are today. Well, only if you're like me and thought the Hot Topic Shuichi Saihara shirt was a good pick that day. Everything was just too perfect. It was inevitable that this would be a thing during lockdown. Seemingly out of nowhere, the series garnered a huge fandom on TikTok. Every other scroll was someone cosplaying Mikon with a bunny hat and Monster Energy, or a genuinely historic edit like that one Nagito edit that literally changed everything, or the Chiaki Sugar Crash edit, which probably affected my brain chemistry for real. I cannot begin to count the number of times I heard that song, but mostly, it was just standard shitposts and rants. Lots and lots of rants. No one was fucking happy back then. People would argue with you over anything. It's like you weren't allowed to like any of the characters, or hate any of the characters, or like one of the games more than the others. Welcome to the Danganronpa fandom. Our first rule, we don't fucking like Danganronpa. With any good fandom comes shipping culture, and with any good ship comes actual death threats. There's hardly any actually confirmed canon relationships in Danganronpa, but there are a number of implied pairings, especially for the protagonists, but that's it, just implied. Shuichi never got laid. Or maybe he did, I don't really know, don't shoot the messenger. God forbid you ship a certain pair instead of another. People really got doxxed over this Koma Hina Nami stuff. It gets that serious. The ship wars are one of the most infamous things about the Danganronpa fandom. It's not something unique to this fandom, obviously, but my point is that, much like everything else about it, it's how insane and far this goes.
Is that you're like...
Redbubble.com and buy a shirt!
I feel like I need to mention the Komahina pool game. Just mention because I can't do much more than that. Also, an obligatory limbless Hajime mention.
Nagito Kamida on the Nintendo DS!
I haven't seen any of these old-ass memes in actual years. Like a significant amount of years. Everybody liked turning every single character bald for some reason. This was also the time that Tally Hall and their song Ruler of Everything got super big too. I remember a bunch of edits to that song. Speaking of edits, I feel like the previously mentioned Nagito and Chiaki ones were the most iconic. The original uploads of both of these are long gone, but thankfully they've both been preserved on YouTube. Seriously, if we lost these, it would be a goddamn tragedy. While the Chiaki one was huge in its own right, that one Nagito edit surpasses any sort of label like iconic or legendary. If you weren't there for it, I honestly cannot convey to you how fucking historical this is. The original TikTok was posted on October 18th, 2020. Like I said, it's unfortunately been taken down, but the YouTube upload remains. That has 10 million views, but when you consider all of the views on the original as well as any reposts on any site, I genuinely believe everybody's seen it at this point. Everyone knows what you're talking about when you say that one Nagito edit. It's to the tune of a pitch down Rhinestone Eyes by Gorillaz, and the actual editing of the edit is insane, especially for the time. This has got to be one of the most remade edits. It seems like any fiction character ever has an edit based off of this.
Plus, it would explain why Jonesy has been here the past 2 weeks.
Looking back, it's actually pretty funny how this predicted the way the characters would move in 2x2. There's quite a few infamous figures in the Danganronpa fandom, like actually really bad people, but first I gotta go over the guy who's simultaneously one of the strangest yet most harmless members of the community. Tobin Jacobs. If that name didn't ring any bells, it's the guy who printed out an entire army of Sayaka Maizono cardboard cutouts and staged them all around his gigantic house, and he has printed pictures of her everywhere, and there's multiple colossal Sayaka titans. He does dabble in other characters like Markiplier. But Sayaka has always been his primary object of affection, or is it object of obsession? Literally everybody knows about this guy, so there's no point in me reiterating his story for the 1000th time. There's plenty of great videos on him already. I just want to mention how funny it is that he's never even actually played Danganronpa. W fucking LARPs, bro.
It may come as a surprise, but
I've actually never played Danganronpa before.
Oh, and his dad actually wrote the musical Grease? Like, that's not a joke. But like I said, not everyone was this okay. Snow the Salt Queen is probably the most well-known example. They were once a popular TikTok user who would do the whole cosplay dance thing, and they would be most known for their Junko cosplay. They had already had some controversy after literally dancing on random people's graves dressed up like Mikon and responding like this. There's a lot of rumors out there of horrible things they've done, but these are just allegations from some random Reddit comment I found, so maybe don't take them as full 100% fact. Either way, they never had a clean record to begin with. In early 2021, Snow would kill a young cosplayer named Helen Hastings. Helen was 5 years younger than Snow, and was having a rough time in school due to bullying and mental health issues. Things would turn around for her when she got into cosplay. Not only had she felt a welcoming community to belong to, but she made a very close friend in Snow. Close enough to move into Snow's house during her senior year of high school. Snow was very into drinking and smoking at the time, so of course these bad habits rubbed off on the younger and impressionable Helen. Fast forward a bit to the night of January 17th. Helen, Snow, and a group of their friends were all drunk watching the show Gotham. Snow went to go grab their ex-boyfriend's gun that they just had laying around, I guess. They took the magazine out, and everyone started playing with the gun and pointing it at each other. This is not something you do. A group of drunk cosplayers making a game out of pointing a real weapon at each other is not a group you want to be a part of. They were all unaware of the fact that there was a bullet left in the chamber of the gun. Snow jokingly placed the gun against Helen's head and pulled the trigger. Snow was arrested on 3 charges of manslaughter. They would return to posting on TikTok only a month later, cosplaying characters who are all killers in their home franchises. Wow. Their court date was set for October 21st, 2021. In the end, Snow was only sentenced to 100 hours of community service and 5 years parole. Since then, they've gotten sober and have left and returned to the internet a few times. I know it's kind of become the meme that the Danganronpa fanbase is legitimately insane, but when people say that, they're referencing all the internet shit, all the drama, just the way the fanbase exists in the online space. But in this case, not only was there a stain left on the cosplay and Danganronpa communities, there were real-world consequences for everyone involved. There's other big stories as well, like the TikTok user Tenko Hugs, who pretty much got accused of being worse than Hitler by her ex, Twyla, after she left her for some man. According to Twyla, Tenko Hugs did a lot of bad things, like calling people slurs and being racist, and allegedly assaulting Twyla in the shower, literally just throwing the book at her. Twyla admitted to framing her for all this bad stuff in the midst of her crash out. Lots of the stuff Tenko Hugs was accused of ended up being more of a self-report on Twyla's side. And according to Tenko Hugs herself, Twyla was actually the one who abused her in the shower, not the other way around. This bombshell dropping was a huge plot twist for the community. It was like the split opinion minigame from V3. For some, Tenko Hugs' name had fully been cleared, but for others, the evidence just wasn't enough. Like, Tenko Hugs did shit talk other people's cosplays and call them poor for it. No matter which side you're on, it's important to remember that these were dumb kids who just put far too much of their personal lives out online. The madness was never exclusive to just 2020. I mean, most of these stories barely even take place in 2020. So many events and memes and horror stories have occurred since the original game's released that the Danganronpa fandom has just always had a reputation as being incredibly fucked up. It's hard to be a Danganronpa fan. You have to start every conversation saying you just like the games, and you weren't really about all that finger amputation stuff.
I can't do it, I can't do it, I can't do it. Ow, 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 ow.
What the fuck was that? That sounded like flesh cutting.
Ow.
The story goes that on a Discord call, a young Nagito Kinney decided to sever their own finger as some sort of sacrifice or attempt to connect with their beloved, who cut his own hand off and replaced it with Junko's to connect with her, so I guess it all comes full circle. If you somehow couldn't tell from the audio, this is just a hoax or like a joke. As far as I know, not one Nagito Kinney in this world has done this to themselves. When Danganronpa started gaining traction on TikTok, so did the story, which everybody fucking believed for some reason. People were seriously acting like the audio is some disturbing deep web browsing shit. And then you listen to it and it's some kid doing the whisper "I don't want my parents to hear me" scream, while allegedly cutting an entire finger off. They would later apologize for the whole thing after everyone came together and said, "Hey, that's not cool, don't do that." Let's end it off with a couple of drama-free and lighthearted incidents, such as the bloody tampon Ibuki wig that's some actual Mandela effect lost media BS. According to legend, a cosplayer took the tampon to a wig, smushed it around, put it on, and started dancing, all on camera. The original video is nowhere to be found because it doesn't exist, with pretty much everyone in comment sections saying that they've never actually seen it, just heard the rumors. The small number of people who claim that they saw the video all have different accounts of the specific details, with one noteworthy one being that the tampon was unused. Look, I'm gonna be that guy. If this video exists, it's with a fucking used tampon. There's no point to any of this if it wasn't. Ooh, look at me, I'm rubbing a sealed band-aid on my wig. Another funny story is Kokichi 2020, when the Russian Danganronpa fanbase, which is apparently pretty big, had this hashtag trending on Twitter after a Kokichi cosplayer made a joke about Kokichi being the Russian president. Times were simpler back then, that's all it took. The meme was big in the western side of the fanbase too, with loads of fan art and even a change.org petition that stands at 4,976 signatures at the time of recording. Make that 4,977. This led to a rumor that Kokichi was banned in Russia, which I still see people spreading as fact to this day. There's no actual evidence of this, like at all, so this is pretty obviously just a meme or rumor. With the fandom having this immense blue lock green stink cloud aura of insanity around it, you'd probably assume that the games are just as insane if you hadn't played them, which like they kind of are, especially this one. But 14-year-olds all across the world being locked indoors is still the only reasonable explanation for shit turning out like this. But that topic is its own entire video. Today was nothing more than a nice stroll down memory lane, except it started raining and you stepped in